It's about the restoration of our republic. We want to educate, encourage, enable the power. We stand for integrity, honesty, self-reliance, self-defense, and most importantly, no compromise on our foundational principles. This is America's Voice Now.
Find America's Voice Now on Facebook and at americasvoicenow.org. Here's Michael Evans.
All right. Good morning, America. You're listening to America's Voice Now. We are in our third of 4 segments. And if you're not mad at me yet, just wait. Yes, I know, and guess what? I don't care. If I offend you, because I throw things out there like challenging the idea of people of faith who will betray those who are entrusted to them, then maybe you need to look at your own belief system and your own motivations. You know, there are only 2 things I can't stand in this world, and that's a liar and a thief. And a hypocrite is both. He's a liar because he portrays himself to be someone or someone he or she is not. And they're a thief because they steal your trust. And they steal your faith in them, and perhaps in something greater. Here's an article this morning out on CNS News. Black pastors call for impeach Eric Holder. Now, there's a coalition of black pastors that announced on Tuesday at the National Press Club they're launching this campaign to gather together 1 million signatures in a written petition. And they're calling for, in that petition, the impeachment of Eric Holder. They're stating that he is violating his oath by trying to, quote, coerce states to fall in line with the same-sex marriage agenda. Okay. For the record, I don't really care who you sleep with. I don't care what your sexual function or malfunctions are. Makes no difference. This conversation here, and if you're gay, forget the argument that you just hate gays. It ain't about gay. See, what this is about, what this whole segment is about, so before you hang up this or shut this video off, what this whole segment really is going to be about is liars. This whole segment is going to be about something more than your sexual preferences. Because trust me, they're really not all that important in the overall scheme of things. I'll tell you what is important. What's important is people who profess to be one thing and are betraying those who have placed their trust in them based on their promise of fidelity. And I don't mean fidelity in a marital sense. I mean fidelity in a trust sense. It's newsworthy that black pastors come out and call for impeaching Eric Holder. Why? Well, because Eric Holder is black. And there's nothing racist or partisan about the statement that we all know that 90% of the black vote goes to Barack Obama, and he appointed Eric Holder. And we know that if Eric Holder were to run for president, there's a vast majority of blacks that would vote for him, not because he's the best president candidate, because he's black. Just like there's a certain segment of the population that will vote for Hillary, not because Hillary's the right candidate, because she's good for America, because she's going to do the right thing for the nation, because she's female, because she has the right physical parts, or lack thereof. How disgraceful. Anyone who would make a voting decision based on someone's color, sexual orientation, sex, you don't have the right to vote because you have sullied and dirtied that privilege and that right. You have thrown your pearls before swine and squandered the treasure that's been given to you, the legacy that's been handed to you, the legacy that, quite frankly, millions of women fought for many, many years. The legacy that 1.3 million Americans have died for since the inception of this nation so that you could have. And the best that you can use it for is to determine who you're going to vote for based on color, whether or not they got physical genital parts, or the color of their skin or their hair, or their religious preference, or their sexual preference, or whether or not they applaud your sexual preference. How small-minded. How self-absorbed. How pathetic. I mean, the heck with the rest of us. Let's just worry about what's my personal preference. And I'm a single-issue voter on something which, quite frankly, in the overall scheme of things, has zero to do with anything. You tell me that when push comes to shove, that whether you're gay or you're black or you're white or you're orange or you're green or you're male or you're female is going to have any bearing on whether or not this country succeeds or fails fiscally, educationally, morally. And I frankly think that black ministers who have come forth and said, quote, President Obama and Attorney General Eric Holder have turned their backs on the values the American people hold dear, values particularly cherished in the black community, values like marriage, which should be strengthened and promoted rather than weakened and undermined. So let me put it to you this way. For the record, these people have more courage and more balls than those of you who vote on single issues. Now, I know for those of you who are black, these are a bunch of Uncle Toms. I get it, the whole thing, right? Because they disagree with you. You're going to slander them and you're going to libel them as traitors to the cause. You know, let me ask you something. There's a lot of white people that do things I don't like. But I don't look at them and say they're traitors to the white cause. I just say they're traitors. They're traitors to the nation that protects black and white and red and orange. I get it. No, don't even throw that crap out there that we killed the American Indians off and all that. I get it. But I wasn't there. I didn't do it. You didn't do it. Neither did your parents. Neither did probably their parents before them. Frankly, back in the days of slavery, my parents weren't even in the country. And most likely yours weren't either. So take your white guilt and throw it in a garbage can somewhere, because it's just something that's a learned response, like a rat that licks the cheese that's put before him. And those of you in the black community, stop victimizing yourselves for what? stand up and do something about it. Stand with these people, whether you believe in their religious beliefs or not, and say, it doesn't matter about our color. It doesn't matter about our sexual orientation. It doesn't even matter whether or not I believe or don't believe in same-sex marriage or gay lifestyle. What matters is my country's been betrayed. And it doesn't matter whether I've been betrayed by a white guy or a black guy or a woman or a gay man or a gay woman. Betrayal's betrayal. And you stand for that. These people have stepped above and beyond because they're saying, I'm going to turn against my own. That is how blacks view each other. Let's not call it something that ain't. If you think I'm full of it, then go out there and look at that interview with that guy who called that Supreme Court justice an Uncle Tom. And when he got caught in an interview just a week ago, the guy stuck a mic in his face and said, do you still believe that? He said, yes, he's an Uncle Tom. See, the real problem here is that this guy who better to separate us and keep us divided by race than a guy who's half black and half white? Come on, folks. Do you not see the irony of that? When does he talk about his white half? He doesn't. But he uses his black half like a pry bar. He's appointed as the chief law enforcement officer in the nation, a man who stands against everything that men and women of courage and conviction and honor and integrity and belief stand for, irrespective of their color, irrespective of their sexual orientation, irrespective of anything else. Eric Holder is a traitor to the nation, and I don't care whether he's green with yellow polka dots and Martian antenna sticking out of his head. This guy is a traitor. Here's what they had to say about him. He has abandoned the oath he swore in taking office and his duty to defend the common good. Attorney General Eric Holder should be impeached by Congress. CAP, that's the name of their organization, C-A-A-P. CAP is calling on all men and women of goodwill to sign the following petition, urging Congress to take action against the Attorney General's lawlessness today. I applaud them for stepping above their own racial myopia. How do I say that they have racial myopia? Because they're a member of the Coalition of African American Pastors, not the Coalition of Pastors. But maybe, just maybe, they've seen that little sliver of light shining through that says, it doesn't matter what color I am. It only matters that I stand for what I believe. And I'm willing to stand against my own alleged compatriots to do that. Good Lord. What has our nation become? Where is the coalition of white pastors? Where is the Southern Baptist Convention? Where is the Northern Baptist Convention? The collection of Protestant pastors of America. I'll tell you where they are. They are lying down, hugging and holding dear and petting their little 501c3. Oh, my precious, my precious. I won't betray you, my precious. I will betray those who trust me, follow me, believe in what I say, but I won't betray you. I won't cross over that line. I'll tell you something. Separation of church and state meant nothing that you try to rationalize to yourself and your people. All it said is we should not have a theocracy. It doesn't mean you can't have religion and government cooperating and talking about it amongst themselves. It doesn't mean that you cannot speak about religion in your church. That's just your excuse for having no balls. You're a eunuch if you say, I can't speak about politics in my church. The founders, the people, in fact, go look at history. The shot heard round the world was fired upon whom? A bunch of men that came straight out of a church. They paraded on the church grounds every Sunday after services. They were led by a pastor. They went out to the field and were led by a pastor. They fired on the British after they were fired upon, led by their pastor. But if I break the laws, I'll lose my tax exemption. If that's your biggest concern, then we have nothing further to talk about. And all of this sage advice you've given to everyone within your congregation has all been a lie. Where are you white pastors? Where are you rabbis? Where are you imams? Instead of teaching jihad, you should be out there expressing that it's not about religion. It's about integrity and it's about honor. And it's about evil and fighting against it. And it doesn't matter whether you get there with a robe, and it doesn't matter whether you get there in a suit, and it doesn't matter whether you get there in a prayer shawl. It only matters that you do it. Why is it newsworthy that black pastors stand up and say, this guy should be impeached? It's only newsworthy because everybody knows. But if you're black, you support Obama. At least 90%. Are you insulted by that if you're black? I don't know what to tell you. Talk to the other 9 of your brothers and sisters and say, why are you all doing this? Why are you supporting a guy who's clearly ruining us as a race? There's an article on CNS News this morning. You know what it says? In Mississippi, 72% of all the babies aborted are black. I don't even care if they misrepresented and skewed the headline to make it look like a racial thing. 72% of the babies that are aborted, if that's true, if that's even remotely accurate, and I don't care if they're off by 20%. Black blacks are not 72% of the population. They're not 50% of the population. They're not 52% of the population. It's genocide. And it's genocide irrespective of what color you are. Rare and legal? What part of rare is 72% of all babies aborted are black? You hear about Muslims aborting babies? I'm sure they do, some. But they have a birth rate of like 8 times the white and the black populations. This ain't a race thing. This ain't a religious thing. This is a thing called banding together, elbow to elbow, locked, intertwined, shoulder to shoulder, standing side by side, saying we want to defend our nation against evil. And that evil is personified by those people at the top. Sebelius is white. Holder's black. The president's black. Everybody involved here. Jay Johnson, he's black. There's a good mix up there, folks. They're all traitors. Harry Reid is white. Pelosi is white. Boehner is white. They're all traitors. Their color doesn't matter. And yours doesn't either. They sold you down the river. Doesn't matter what church you believe in, what color your skin, who you sleep with. What matters is that our nation is falling to the forces of evil. The only ideology that should matter there is right versus wrong. And the rest of it is just an excuse to avoid the truth. You've been listening to America's Voice Now. I hope somebody stuck through this 20 minutes and got something out of this. I hope you're incensed or happy or pleased or thrilled or think this is funny. Show it to somebody else and let them be the deciding factor for themselves. I can only tell you this. There's a day that is coming that is almost here when whatever it is that you think you believe in is not going to matter. And it's going to come down to right or wrong, and it is going to come down to good and evil. The real question is, where are you going to stand? There ain't no excuses. We're going to take a break. When we come back, the evidence of what I'm talking about right here is your local police with an us versus them mentality. We'll be right back.